والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Then we have reached day number 14 in this month of Ramadan in the year 1445 after the hijrah of Al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we continue in our reading from the book Mistakes and Concepts Surrounding Ramadan That Must Be Corrected, which was written by our Sheikh Abu Ammar Muhammad ibn Abdullah ba Musa, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, who is out of Yemen, yet spends much of his time in Mecca, where he grew up. And this was a radio program that he did last year in the year 1444. And the links to that playlist are in the description of the very first intro video on this playlist, as well as a link to the PDF and a link to an ongoing explanation that is being done by a sheikh out of Yemen this year. This question, the 14th question, is what is the ruling of the one who intends with a definite intention during his fast to stop fasting? So in the middle of the day, a person, he has a strong intention, a determined intention to break his fast in the middle of that day. What is the ruling of this? The Sheikh, he says, the answer is, and from Allah we seek help to what is correct, whoever intends while fasting to break his fast, an intention which is definitive, and it is not something which he is wavering on, then his fasting is broken. It is cut off, and it is not correct from him, even if he does not eat or drink or do any of the things which break the fast, simply by the determined intention to break it. And upon him is to make up that day and to refrain from anything which breaks the fast for the remainder of the day. This is if he is from those who it is not permissible for him to break fast. If he is from those whom it is permissible for them to break fast, such as the sick person or the traveler, then this person only has to make up that day. And this is for me commenting or clarifying, meaning he does not have to refrain for the rest of the day. Rather, it's permissible for him to eat. The Sheikh says this is the madhab of the majority, from the Malikis, the Hanbalis, and one opinion from a Shafi'i, or one opinion from the Shafi'is, and this is the choice of Ibn Hazm. From the scholars of our time who held this position are As-Sa'di, Ibn Uthaymeen, Al-Albani, and the Lajnatul Da'ima, the permanent committee under the leadership or presidency of Sheikh Ibn Baz. May Allah have mercy upon all of them. And they used as an evidence the hadith of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, indeed, innamal a'malu binniyat, indeed all actions are according to their intentions, wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa, and a man will only have that which he intended. This is narrated by Bukhari, and it's his wording, as well as narrated by Muslim. Al-Maqdisi said in Al-Mughni, indeed, the foundation or the origin is for the intention to be present in all the parts of an act of ibadah, of an act of worship, for the intention to be present in reality and in ruling. However, if it becomes difficult for an intention to be present in reality and in ruling, then we go to the remaining of the ruling. And this is that a person does not, that he does not intend to break it. So if he intended it, and so if he intended it, then his intention is no longer in reality and in ruling, because the intention for breaking the fast is opposite of the intention for fasting. Now, inshallah, I'm going to try to summarize this. I'm trying to translate it without adding too much, but inshallah, I'm going to try to summarize this and give an example. So an intention must be held for an action or an act of worship for it to be considered. The intention must be there in reality and in ruling, and it should be done for all parts of that act of ibadah. So, for example, and if it's not there for all acts of ibadah, before the example, if it's not there for all the acts of ibadah, for all the parts of that action, then at least it must be there in the ruling so as not to contradict it. So an example outside of fasting would be salat. We know that the intention is a condition for the salat to be correct, that you have to intend which salat you're making and so on. In the heart, of course. And we don't say that this intention must be present in your mind through the entire salah. Otherwise, none of us would complete a prayer, because our mind doesn't stick on the intention the whole time. It goes to Fatiha and maybe some contemplations on Al-Fatiha, and then it goes to what surah we're going to recite next, and the intention is not necessarily present, but the intention is there in ruling. It might not be there in reality, but it's there in ruling, because we intend to only stop praying when we make the taslim. And then we do other things in between, and our mind floats and goes from this to that, sometimes to the salat and sometimes to other than the salat. But we do not intend to exit from the salat until the taslim. Likewise, fasting. We have to work. Fasting is a long act of ibadah, 12, 13, 14 hours, maybe longer. And you cannot have the presence of mind of intending all the time. You might sleep. You might become busy with work. So the least of what might be done is the ruling here, not the reality of having that intention all the time, but the ruling of having the intention, meaning I'm not going to break my fast until the sun sets or until I decide to break my fast. And once you decide to break your fast with a strong decision, determination, then your fast is broken. And this is because the intention for breaking fast is opposite of the intention for fasting. Whereas if a person had the intention to pray dhuhr while fasting Ramadan, he might not be thinking about his fast at that time. He's just thinking about dhuhr, right? But the intention for dhuhr does not contradict the intention for fasting. Hope that becomes clear. Go back to the Sheikh's words, inshallah. As-Sa'di rahimahullah, he said, indeed, fasting is made up of two realities. The first reality is the intention. That's the first reality. And leaving off whatever breaks the fast that's the first reality, not the first intention. The intention is the first reality. And leaving off whatever breaks the fast is the second reality. So if a person intended to break fast, then he has mixed or he has basically violated or broken the first reality. And it is the greatest of the parts of acts of worship, because all actions are not established except by it, meaning the intention. Sheikh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he said, as long as a person is intending fasting, then he is fasting. And if he intended to break fast, then he is broken fast. For fasting is really an expression of one's intention. So if he intended to cut it or to break it, then it's cut and it's broken. Like salat, if a person intends to break salat in the middle of it, then his salat is broken. The end of the sheikh's words. As for going back and forth and wavering and being unsure, is he going to break the fast or not? Then his fast is not broken and his fast is not invalidated, as long as he has not made a decisive intention to break his fast. And this is opposed to the first issue, which he decisively intended to break his fast. And this is the school of thought of the Hanafis, the Shafis, and one statement from the Hanbalis. And this is the position chosen by the following scholars of our time: Uthaymeen and Al-Albani. May Allah have mercy on all of them. Why or what is the difference here between one who intended with a decisive intention and one who wavered back and forth? And that is because the tying of the niyyah, or the contract of the niyyah, of the intention for fasting, is a decisive one. I'm going to fast. It's decisive. As for the intention to break fast, then it was not decisive. Rather it was unsure and wavering. So this unsurety, this wavering, this is doubt from him. And it is weak and it is not stronger, and it cannot remove certainty. So that does not harm him. So if a person has, and this is me speaking, Abu Muawiyah, if a person has a waswas, a whisper from shaitan, you shouldn't fast. Should I not? It's going to be hard. Maybe my head hurts worse than it does. I don't know. Right? This does not break the fast, because this does not cut off the intention. The intention was decisively to fast, and the should I continue? This is indecisive, and it's not stronger than what is decisive. In fact, it's only a thought, the Sheikh says, it's only a thought which a person thinks about doing, and certainty is not removed by doubt. The Sheikh concludes, he says, and Allah knows best what is correct, and to him is the return and the final resting place. And may the salat and the salam be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon his family and all of his companions. Tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to deal with what happens if a person wakes up in a state of sexual defilement after the adhan of Fajr has been made, or at the time of the adhan of Fajr. He wakes up in a state of sexual defilement. Inshallah, we'll answer that tomorrow. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.